What's up guys, Chris here, and in this video we're taking a trip back into the odd and obscure with 28 more little known tips and tricks for War of the Visions. This is the third installment in this series, and while the first two installments still have a lot of really good info in them, I'll link those in the description below, they are kind of outdated. It was almost an entire year ago. That's kind of crazy. So I decided let's up the ante with the 1 year anniversary. We'll cover some slightly more advanced tips involving a lot of the new features that have launched in the game since the first two videos. If you guys like the video, be like the Figaro brothers and suplex that thumbs up and drill the subscribe buttons below. Son of a submariner, let's jump on our chocobos and make a getaway. Speaking of chocobos, our first tip comes to us from the Chocobo Expedition. By now, it's pretty common knowledge that you can pick up extra shards for limited units by setting your destination to these unique areas. However, what most people aren't aware of is that on new banners for non-limited units, the drop rates for these units is greatly increased during their banner on the area matching their element. For example, when Luelle comes out, her drop rate will be greatly increased on the Putrid Mire for 1 week since she is an Earth unit. While the drop rates are still relatively low, you can easily pick up an extra 10 or 20 shards of a banner unit throughout the week. Now that we've gotten into EX jobs, people know that extra unit shards get converted into mind spheres once you have the unit maxed out, but you don't have to wait until the unit's EX job launches before you can collect their mind spheres. Because of this, you should be identifying units on your roster you would like to EX and farm up 400 mind spheres before their EX jobs launch so you can unlock their entire ability board right away. Speaking of unit shards, we can now farm unit shards in the guild barracks, even for limited time units. However, most people probably don't realize that the expensive JP up foods don't actually give you shards any faster. These only increase your JP gain. Because of this, if you're only farming unit shards in the guild barracks like I am doing here, stock up on the cheaper Chocobo chocolates and only use these when farming unit shards. Save your JP up items for when you are only farming JP. Moving on, the biggest no-brainer in War of the Visions is bringing Giza to max limit break to nab the coveted illusory bells. Undoubtedly the best piece of gear in the game. This gear gives you an AP restore buff that recovers dozens of AP each turn. What many players don't realize is that this buff can actually miss on units that have low faith. The chance to land is 2 times the unit's faith, which means your unit needs to have at least 50 faith to ensure that the buff doesn't miss. Your bonus tip for using the illusory bells is that you may get frustrated that your unit is prioritizing other abilities and not using the bells when you want them to. If the unit is able to attack or use a party buff, they will more than likely prioritize that over using the bells. You can help the AI out a lot by turning off any long range abilities the unit has, or by adjusting their spot in the formation so they have no other option but to use Revitalize. And now for our golden chocobo tip of the video, I want to quickly talk about the offer wall. If you go to video summons on the summon tab, you can tap this offer wall button to get all sorts of offers for free Visual by completing tasks in other apps, games, or websites. Now, if you're playing on iOS, such as an iPad or iPhone, you'll notice that all of these offers suck behemoth balls, especially when you compare them to the thousands of Visual that you can get for offers on Android. So what can you do? Well, you can actually download an Android emulator on your PC, for example BlueStacks, and log into your account from that emulator to get the much better Android offers instead of the crappy offers from the Apple side of things. If you complete these offers through the Android emulator, you can log back into your account on your Apple device and claim the Visual from your present box. Pretty neat, huh? Your bonus tip is that you should look for an offer from the most ambitious RPG project known as Raid Shadow Legends to get a 5-star unit in your first week of playing. Following a guide I found by googling 5-star unit offer Raid Shadow Legends, I was able to complete this in about 4 or 5 hours time and score thousands of free Visual. Moving on, let's quickly talk about the value or future value of rare summon tickets and summon ticket A's. One thing that most people don't realize is that these tickets last forever, and the unit pool that you pull from with these tickets updates as new units get released. This means that if there are units that you want in the future, you can wait until they are added to the summon pool for these tickets and then use these tickets to have a shot at newer units. While obviously this requires a lot of patience and planning, some shot for a new unit is better than no shot. Let's quickly talk about some of the changes they've made to vision cards. When leveling up a vision card using growth eggs, you now have a chance for a huge or massive success, greatly increasing the amount of XP that you get. With this in mind, when leveling up vision cards, make sure that you only go about halfway to the level cap so that if you get a massive or huge success, you don't waste growth eggs. You can save dozens or even hundreds of growth eggs by simply not maxing them out right away. When leveling gear, it's important to keep in mind that you don't necessarily have to level a piece of gear all the way to level 50. If you get maximum stats before then, you can save yourself a lot of adamantite by simply stopping short. This is especially apparent on items like the Sage Hat. Do note, however, that some items require you to get them to 5-star in order to get maximum bonuses, but this doesn't mean they have to be level 50. And now for the silver chocobo tip of the video. If you're in a pinch for job points on your units, we now have the JP reward quest that you can unlock at your leisure. When you do this quest, don't be a basic and use your JP boosting vision cards on all of your units. This includes a year's journey, in search of myrrh, celebrating cross paths, and the job crystal if you have it. In addition, make sure you tip the option for use JP acquisition items up, and then also call in a friend unit that has a job crystal as well to maximize your JP gains. Do all of these tips and you'll be Scrooge McDuckin' it in job points after completing this quest. Speaking of the job crystal vision card, if you do have this card, make sure you go into your companion settings under the formation tab and set your all unit to use this vision card. I mean, come on, this is just a nice courtesy for your allies anytime they need a little bit of an extra JP. Lastly, on JP, we have all those times when we leave the game running to auto farm some event or mission for hours while we go scrounge garage sales for stamps from the 1920s. When you do this, be sure to set up your party with all the JP boosting vision cards we talked about before in order to maximize your gains. In addition, use these long farming opportunities to max out the Brave on your units. By equipping Cecil's TMR or using a Samurai, you can turn off all abilities on that unit except for Holy Knight's Cheer or Meditation, and you come back home with max Brave on your units and a lamp that you didn't really want. But come on, it was only $4. Lastly, while auto farming, you can max out the faith on a unit by putting Fina somewhere in the party and equipping the Faith E, or the unit you want to raise the faith on, with the Vow of Love vision card so that Fina targets them. Just be aware that some other units in the party may get max faith kind of as collateral damage. Speaking of farming, when you use skip tickets, you'd be shocked at how many people didn't know that you can increase the skip number from 10 at a time to 20 at a time. In addition, you can tap and hold the loot when it appears on your screen to scroll through it much quicker in order to get through this a little bit faster. Real quick on EX jobs, and you'd be surprised at how many people are actually missing this one, but we all know that you can upgrade abilities on the job board up to level 20. But did you know that units that are EX unlocked also have stat nodes that you can upgrade as well? This is usually this damage limit node right here and one other stat node. For example, you can see here on Mont that I can further increase his max HP by leveling up this node. So make sure on your EX units you double check your unit's stat nodes and make sure you aren't missing any additional stats for your units. One thing that many people overlook is that Esper evocation abilities have elements and attack types associated with them. Why is this important? Because this means that you can use Espers to continue long chains for boss and raid battles, even with units that normally couldn't contribute to your team's primary chain types. This is especially useful for support units or debuffers during raids, so they don't have to skip turns or break long chains. Real quick on mastery abilities, the abilities that provide the same bonuses to units of a certain element do stack. This means, for example, if you have Titus and Crace in a party, both master abilities will add HP and attack to your water units. Let's talk about multi-quests for a second. Multi-quests can be much more efficient for farming materials for awakening, jobs, and gear because they cost less energy. We now get host bonuses in multi-rooms, so make sure you have at least one other person join the room to get host bonuses. Your bonus tip here is if you're a teacher's pet and really want that extra credit, or maybe you're just a Liam Neeson lone wolf type and like to handle things yourself, you can create an alternate account for the sole purpose of jumping in your multi-rooms and getting your main account host bonuses. They recently added this tokens mechanic to the game, and many people aren't aware that the item sell price up applies to guild turtles. This means that you definitely shouldn't overlook this upgrade, especially if you're short on gil. Real quick on guild battles, we talked about on the other video how you can tap and hold on opponents in the arena to get a detailed look at the entire squad, including vision cards, espers, and gear. In guild battles, you can do the exact same thing, but only if someone has previously attacked the team and revealed them. This is called scouting. This strategy is extremely important, especially in the higher levels of guild battles where you need to maximize every attack. In addition, if you go into your guild's battle records, you can look through previous battles and see how your squads did on attack, but more interestingly on defense. You can see here that this guild just wouldn't calm their tits, Becca, when it came to my squad. In the past, most people didn't do match battles because it was really annoying to spend an hour each day watching your opponent sit in a corner and circle haste themselves. Well, now you can play match battles on auto, and even better, you can tap this matching settings option to match yourself up only against other players who are also using auto. This is extremely useful to collect PvP medals on days where you may not have enough time to play manual battles. Lastly, a couple of tips for light spenders. If you're going for a unit or vision card on banner, make sure you check out the daily purchase bonuses. You only need to spend $1 per day, and the rewards are, more often than not, well worth the value, particularly for limited time units and cards. Finally, as you increase your royal rank, make sure you're taking full advantage of your increased benefits, such as additional shop refreshes and especially the additional Chocobo Expedition Party you get at royal rank 6. I actually had a friend who went months without realizing that he had a second expedition party. Well guys, that's it for part thrice of obscure tips and tricks. Let me know in the comments section below if there's anything here that you didn't know, and also if you have some obscure tips or tricks that you haven't seen anywhere else, and thanks for watching.